Strobe Studios presents Michael Helgens and Greg Kilberger in The Watson Files. Coming to you from the illustrious Strobe Studios in the heart of America, this is Craig Dahlen. Check out StrobeStudios.com to listen to all of our exciting radio dramas, including The Horror of Poe and The Ark of Time. And if you missed the exciting first season of The Watson Files, all 21 commercial-free episodes are available for purchase on CD and electronically at StrobeStudios.com, and are also now being sold at CR Gamers in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Now, let's join the doctor and see what story he has for us today.
Come in.
Good evening, Doctor.
Mr. Dahlen, you're early.
Yes, well, I was excited to hear the conclusion to last week's story.
As I thought you might be. Well, shall we just get right into it then?
I don't see why not. As I recall, when we departed last week, you had just arrived at the Baskervilles estate with Sir Henry and Dr. Mortimer.
Yes, and we learned that Mr. Barrymore's presence at the house was uncertain, and also that a convicted serial killer was on the loose in the area.
Which you reported back to Holmes?
Indeed. He had remained behind in London to pursue other leads, though I was hopeful that he would join me at the estate before long. I don't think I have to tell you how much more difficult it is to protect someone and investigate a murder by yourself.
I can imagine. So what did Holmes think of the developments?
Well, at the time I wasn't sure. I was having trouble getting a hold of him and resorted to just leaving messages. I assumed that he was up to his usual tricks and otherwise occupied at the time.
And what was Sir Henry's impression when you arrived?
He was at first struck by the somber aspect of much of the hall, but his mood quickly changed the next day when he met a young woman, Miss Beryl Stapleton.
And his interest in her was of the romantic nature, I assume?
Indeed, much to the chagrin of her brother.
She and her brother both lived at the manor?
Oh, no, not at the estate, but in the area. Perhaps I should back up a bit and tell you how I met the Stapleton.
All right.
The next morning after arriving at the estate, I set out to examine the grounds a bit, and I ran into an eccentric fellow named Jack Stapleton. A naturalist. He was out collecting bugs, and was quite happy to tell me all about the moor. Have you lived in the area long?
My sister and I have been in the area about 2 years now.
And what do you think of this curse business?
I prefer to look at things according to the facts of nature, and curses don't really align themselves with that ideology. However, there have been rumors as of late of a large black hound roaming around the moor.
And have you seen it yourself?
I can't say that I have, but it is a large area.
Well, of course.
Why, it's a cyclopedes. You'll have to excuse me, Doctor. I need one of these for my collection.
Certainly. Oh, hello, how do you do?
Please, sir, you must return to London and not come back if you know what's good for you.
Ma'am, I don't understand.
Just trust me, and please don't mention anything about this to my brother. He doesn't...
Ah, sister, I see you have met Dr. Watson.
Watson?
Yes, Dr. Mortimer asked me here to look into the death of Sir Charles.
Oh, I see. I thought you were Sir Henry.
No harm done. So, you are Jack's sister?
Yes. My name is Beryl.
Nice to meet you, Beryl. My name is Jack Watson.
Jack, like my brother.
Yes, that's true.
And you're some sort of investigator?
Yes, I consult with the police from time to time, along with my colleague, Spencer Holmes.
Holmes? As in...
Yes, Sherlock Holmes' grandson.
Well, if anyone can figure out what happened, it'll be him.
Indeed.
Yes, well, I need to get this cyclopedes back to the house. You're welcome to join us for lunch, if you like.
No, thank you. I appreciate the offer, but they will be expecting me back at the manor.
Ah, yes, of course.
Thank you for all of your help.
So Mr. Stapleton was not happy about Sir Henry dating his sister?
No, he was rather upset about it at first, and they nearly came to blows at one point. But after he had calmed down a bit, Stapleton apologized and explained that he was just concerned about losing his sole companion.
Ah, well, that's understandable.
Yes.
And what did you make of Miss Stapleton's warning?
Well, I was quite confused about it at first, but then as I made my way back to the manor, she came running up behind me. She apologized for her earlier behavior and asked me to forget the whole thing.
Really?
Yes. She said that the whole curse business had gotten to her and that her brother thinks she is foolish to be concerned about such things.
I see. So, after this you returned to the manor?
Yes, and I became increasingly suspicious of Mr. Barrymore. I was already concerned with the likelihood that he was the man we had seen in London and his deceit when asked about it. Then late in the evening, I observed the strangest thing. He walked into an empty room, shined a flashlight out the window for a minute or so, and then left.
And why would he do that?
Exactly. I consulted with Sir Henry about the manor, and we realized that the window overlooks the moor. So we decided to confront Mr. Barrymore, and the next evening we kept a close eye on his movements. When he returned to the room with his flashlight...
Mr. Barrymore, what are you doing?
Well, I was just checking the windows, sir.
The windows?
Yes, I go around at night to see that they are fastened.
Look here, Barrymore, I will have the truth from you. Now, what were you doing at the window?
I was doing no harm, sir. I was holding this light to the window.
And why were you doing that?
Please, sir, don't ask me. It is not my secret, sir, and so I cannot tell it.
You must have been signaling someone. Here, let me see that light. See, they're out over the moor.
Another light responds. Who is this confederate of yours, Barrymore?
I assure you, sir, it is nothing.
Then you shall leave my employment this instant.
If I must, I must.
And to go in disgrace. How long has your family lived with mine under this roof, and now I find you in some dark plot against me?
No, sir, not against you.
Eliza, we must go. Pack your things.
No, this is my doing, Sir Henry. He has done nothing.
Well then, speak.
It's my brother, sir. He's starving out in the moor. The light is a signal to him that food is ready.
Then your brother is...
Yes, sir, the escaped convict, Selden.
Is this true, Barrymore?
Yes, sir.
Well, I can hardly blame you for standing by your wife. Return to your rooms. We shall discuss this further in the morning. What do you think, Watson?
I believe they are telling the truth.
As do I.
Which means...
We know now where to find the convict.
Do you intend to capture him?
Now is as good a time as any.
Yes, I suppose so.
Bring your revolver.
Do you see anything?
I see the light, but he's not.
There! Up on the hill.
He must have seen us coming.
He's a fast little bugger.
Indeed.
Where'd he go?
He just disappeared.
He must have gone behind those trees there.
No, I don't see him.
He has the advantage of knowing his surroundings better than we do.
Clearly.
Well, it was a good try anyway. He won't last too much longer out here now that he's lost his source of food.
Yes, I suppose that's true. Well, should we head back?
What's that?
What?
Up on the hill. Is that Selden?
Where? I don't see anyone.
Right. Well, it was just there.
Are you sure?
I am quite certain. It was a tall figure silhouetted by the moon.
Perhaps there are more inhabitants of this moor than we had previously believed.
Yes, I think we'd better get you back to the house.
Agreed.
You tried to capture him?
Mr. Barrymore, he is a dangerous criminal. We can't just leave him roaming around out there, terrorizing the townspeople.
He isn't terrorizing anyone. He keeps to himself out on the moor.
His escape alone was terrifying enough. It doesn't matter if he is now behaving himself or not.
But he is family.
Family or not, I will not allow him to remain here.
What if he agreed to leave the country, sir?
And how do I know he will do so?
He already plans it, sir. Early next week he will be getting on a ship to South America.
And he will never return?
Not if he wants to remain a free man.
All right, then. But if he is not on that ship, then God help him, I'm going hunting.
Understood, sir. Thank you, sir.
Is there something else, Barrymore?
Well, sir, to repay your kindness, I thought you might be interested to know that my wife found a note.
A note?
Yes, near the gate. It was mostly burned, but appeared to request the meeting.
So he was waiting for someone.
Who was the note from?
It was signed simply L.L.
L.L.?
Indeed, sir, I believe it might be Laura Lyons, the daughter of Frankland, one of the neighbours. An eccentric fellow, to say the least.
Was there some sort of relationship between her and my uncle?
Well, she was recently estranged from her husband, sir, and I believe she was trying to elicit funds from Sir Charles to help pay for a divorce.
I see.
I think I'll go have a visit with this Frankland.
All right.
But before I go, I wanted to ask you, Mr. Barrymore, have you seen anyone else out on the moor?
Well, no, but Selden did mention another inhabitant just 2 days prior.
And what of him?
Not much, just that he seemed like a gentleman, perhaps a scientist or some such thing, and that he lives in one of the huts along the moor.
A hut?
Yes, they're basically just a wall of rocks shaped into a circle affording minimal protection.
I see. Well, thank you for your help.
Oh, and he also mentioned that a young boy delivers food to the man.
Ah, that is interesting. I will see what I can find out in return when I know more.
Good luck.
Yes, who is it?
My name is Jack Watson, sir. I'm a consultant with the police.
Police?
Have you finally listened to my complaints?
Complaints, sir?
The Fernworthy people will no doubt burn me in effigy again tonight.
I don't know anything about that. I'm not with the local police.
Ah, well, that's good for you, then. The county constabulary is in a scandalous state. But no matter. The case of Frankland v. Regina will bring the matter before the public.
And why does everyone hate you so?
Why, it's been a red-letter day, sir. I've won 2 cases just this morning. I mean to teach them in these parts that law is law.
Lawsuits?
Indeed. I have established a right-of-way through the center of Old Middleton's Park, within 100 yards of his own front door. What do you think of that? We'll teach these magnates that they cannot ride roughshod over the rights of the commoners. Confound them! And I've closed the wood where the Fernworthy folk used to picnic. These infernal people seem to think that there are no rights of property. I haven't had such a day since I had Sir John Morland for trespass because he shot in his own warren.
How on earth did you do that?
Look it up in the book. It cost me £200, but I got my verdict.
Did it do you any good?
None, sir, none at all. I'm proud to say I had no interest in the matter. I act entirely from a sense of public duty.
And now you're going after the constabulary?
I told them they would have occasion to regret their treatment of me, and already my words have come true.
How so?
Because I could tell them what they are dying to know.
Some poaching case, no doubt.
Oh, much more important than that. What of the convict on the moor?
You know where he is?
Well, not exactly, but I know how to find him. I've seen the boy that takes him food.
A boy, you say?
Yes, a young boy. I see him every day through my telescope. And who should he be going to except the convict?
Perhaps he is the son of a shepherd taking food to his father.
I have seen the boy again and again, and I have been able to... Wait, did you see that?
What?
There goes the boy now. Come, come, you will see for yourself and judge whither he goes. There, take a look.
Yes, a young boy does indeed seem to be on some sort of errand.
Just as I said.
Yes, well, I really must be going now, sir.
But you will keep quiet about the boy.
Yes, of course.
They have treated me shamefully. When the facts come out in Frankland v. Regina, a thrill of indignation will run through the country.
I have no doubt. But they are expecting me back at the house, so...
Say no more, my boy. I bid you adieu.
Thank you for your hospitality.
Not at all.
I headed off down the road until I rounded the next corner and was out of sight from the old coot. Then I dashed across the moor to the spot I had last seen the boy.
And what were you hoping to find?
Well, having all but eliminated Barrymore and the convict as suspects, I felt confident that this mysterious person was the likely culprit in the death of Sir Charles.
And Mr. Franklin believed this man to be the convict.
Yes, but I knew better.
So, you followed the boy, and what did you find?
Well, when I arrived at the spot that I had last seen him, I was disappointed to see no sign of him anymore, until I spotted a small stone hut in the rocks with an opening at one end. Assuming, of course, that this was the hideout for our mystery man, I readied my revolver and ventured inside. I was surprised to find inside notes documenting my movements over the last several days. Is there anyone home? I am prepared to defend myself, though I would prefer not to hurt you. Appears to be empty. Perhaps I'll just wait here for his return. What's this? Dr. Watson is gone to visit Mr. Franklin. Why, this man has been following me all along, but...
It is a lovely evening, Watson. Why don't you step outside
What?
with me?
Holmes?
Come on out, and please do be careful with that revolver. I do wish you'd stop breaking into my house, Watson. At least this time you didn't break the door down.
I can't say I've ever been more pleased to see anyone.
Nor astonished, eh?
I confess it is true.
Well, I'm a bit surprised myself. I was not aware that you had found my retreat until I was within 20 paces of the door.
And how did you know it was me? My footprints?
No, Watson, I couldn't hope to distinguish your footsteps from the billions of others in the world. Actually, I heard you mumbling to yourself, as you often do.
Ah, yes. I didn't even realize I was doing that.
Knowing your tenacity, I assumed you would be waiting to ambush whomever entered that door.
I was indeed.
And however did you find me?
Well, through the telescope over at Mr. Franklin's.
Ah, and you were inquiring about Mrs. Laura Lyons.
Well, that was my intention, yes, but how did you come to be here, Holmes? I thought you were staying back in London.
That was what I wished you to think.
But why keep me in the dark?
Your knowledge of the situation could have only led to my discovery. You would have wanted to tell me something, or in your kindness would have brought me some comfort or other.
Yes, I suppose so. And how do you know I was inquiring about Mrs. Lyons?
I had in mind to speak with her myself. You are aware, I assume, of the intimate relationship between herself and the man Stapleton?
I was not aware, no.
There can be no doubt about the matter. I only wish I could use it to detach his wife.
His wife?
Yes, the lady who had passed here as Miss Stapleton is in reality his wife.
Good heavens, Holmes, are you sure?
I repeat that the lady is his wife and not his sister.
But why the deception?
Because he foresaw that she would be much more useful to him in the character of a free woman.
So, it is he, then, that is our enemy, and that dogged us in London.
Indeed.
And the warning at the hotel... It must have come from Miss Stapleton.
That was my conclusion as well. I knew immediately that the author had been a woman, with the letters being cut with the nail scissors.
Yes, I do recall that now. But what about...
What was that?
Could it be?
Hush, hush, Watson.
It's over that way.
Come on. The Hound, Watson! Come, Watson! Great heavens, if we are too late! Fool that I was to hold my hand, and you, Watson, see what comes of abandoning your charge? But if the worst has happened, we'll avenge him. Can you see anything?
Nothing.
Over there.
That's Sir Henry's suit. Oh, Holmes, I shall never forgive myself for having left his side.
Come now, Watson, the fault is as much mine as yours. I've sacrificed the life of my client in order to have a well-rounded case.
Wait, what's...
A beard! He has a beard!
It's not Sir Henry.
Why, it's my neighbor, the convict.
That's right. I remember now that Sir Henry had given his old wardrobe to Mr. Barrymore, who in turn passed it on to help Selden escape.
Then the Hound must have laid on from some article of Sir Henry's, the boot most likely, and so ran this man down.
Who's there?
Hello?
Dr. Watson, is that you?
Ah, Mr. Stapleton, yes. What are you doing out here so late?
Well, I heard screams and I was fearful for Sir Henry.
Why for Henry?
Well, because I had asked him to meet me out here tonight, and he didn't arrive. I became concerned, so... Wait, that's not Sir Henry.
No, it's the convict, Selden.
Oh, well, thank heavens for that. And what do you suppose happened?
He appears to have fallen on the rocks and broken his neck.
Yes, that would make sense. And you heard nothing else?
What else would we have heard?
Oh, nothing in particular.
Indeed. Well, we should be getting back, Watson. It is getting about dinner time.
Yes, my sister will be expecting me as well.
I bet.
Well, I'm sure Mrs. Barrymore will be saddened by this turn of events.
Yes, I would certainly think so.
I'll talk to her after dinner.
All right. Holmes, what are you doing?
Look at that painting, Watson.
Yes? What about it?
That is the late Sir Charles.
Yes, but hold your hand up so that the hair is covered. Yes, like that. What do you notice?
Why, it looks just like Stapleton.
Indeed, he is clearly a Baskerville.
But how could that be?
Sir Charles's brother, the Black Sheep, he left for South America, correct?
Well, yes, but...
I'd be willing to wager that Stapleton is his son.
But how could you...
His wife, sir, is the answer. There is an exotic quality to her, wouldn't you say?
His wife?
Ah, yes, that's right. It seems Stapleton's sister is actually his wife.
He's married to his sister?
No, his wife has been posing as his sister.
I see. And why would he do that?
To lure Henry out, of course, just as he used Mrs. Lyons to get his uncle out onto the moor.
So, are you sure that Stapleton is the one?
No doubt about it.
Well, let's go get him.
That is the plan, yes. Which reminds me, where is Sir Henry this evening?
I believe he was going to dine with Mr. Stapleton, actually.
Then we have not a moment to lose. Can you see anything?
The fog is quite thick.
I believe the lights over there are the Stapleton's house.
Ah, yes, there's Sir Henry. It looks like he's leaving.
Yes, I think you're right.
I can hardly see anything in this fog.
Did you hear that?
He's after Henry for sure. Look out, Henry!
Watson!
Yes, I see him, Holmes.
Oh,
Henry, are you all right?
get this thing off me.
Good thing for you, we brought a pair of doctors along.
Let me see.
I'm fine. You were cutting that a bit close, Dr. Watson.
Well, the fog did cause a bit of trouble for me.
A fine shot, though, if I must say.
What is this thing?
Well, it appears to be some sort of bloodhound mastiff mix.
It's as big as a lion.
Very nearly, yes.
And it appears to be iridescent.
Well, I believe, yes, it looks like it's been covered in phosphorus to make it glow.
And what of Stapleton?
I'm afraid he got away, but no matter, we will go after him. He hasn't seen the last of Spencer Holmes.
So, Doctor, were you able to capture this Stapleton character?
Well, we ventured into the house and found Mrs. Stapleton bound in the attic. It took very little prompting for her to reveal her husband's hiding place out in the Grippen Mire, a deadly marshland where he kept the beast.
And I assume that was your next destination.
Indeed. We summoned some help from the local police and descended on the mire. Unfortunately, Mr. Stapleton was nowhere to be found.
So he got away then?
No, from the fresh footprints, we were able to determine that he had fallen, or perhaps thrown himself, down a large pit on the far side of the island used for his hideout. We were, however, able to recover Sir Henry's missing boot.
Ah, so Holmes was right about that one.
Yes, it seems that Stapleton had been the one in London who stole the boot, apparently to put the dog on his scent.
So, were you able to determine if he was actually a Baskerville?
Yes, apparently he was the son of Sir Charles's brother Roger, the one that fled to South America. He got into some trouble and fled to England under a different name. Having learned the story of the curse, he resolved to kill off the remaining Baskervilles and inherit the fortune.
Yes, I see. Well, that was quite the adventure, Doctor.
Indeed, and when I was supposed to be resting.
Well, I trust the rest of your time off was a bit more relaxing.
For the most part, yes, we did have a bit more excitement back home, though nothing quite as dangerous as this.
And I would venture a guess that we might hear about this other excitement next week.
That is the plan, yes.
Well, I can't wait. I look forward to our next meeting.
As do I.
All right. Tonight's Watson Files adventure was written by Scott Strosahl and based on an original story by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Spencer Holmes and Dr. Watson were played by Michael Helgens and Greg Kilberger. Additional voices were performed by Steve Rimpici and Stacy Freedy. Until next week, this is Craig Dahlen saying good night from Strobe Studios.
But before you go, I wanted to ask you, Mr. Barrymore.
Before I go.
Doesn't really matter either way.
Okay.
But before I go, I wanted to ask you, Mr. Barrymore.
Emphasizing the Lord.
But before either one of us go anywhere.
Before I go.
And now you're going after the constabulary?
Constabulary.
I realized that as soon as I said it. Constabulary. And now you're going after the constabulary? I headed off down the road until I rounded the next corner and was out of sight from the old coot. Then I dashed.
Sorry.